Hi everybody, it's Judy here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thanks so much for watching today's video. Thank you for subscribing and thank you so much for 1,000 subscribers here on my YouTube channel. I'm so excited. We've hit 1,000 a few weeks ago now, but this is the first video that I'm filming since hitting 1,000 subscribers because I had a backlog of videos filmed and scheduled ready to go. But thank you so much for 1,000 subscribers. I'm so incredibly excited, you guys. I only started this channel in January and we're already at 1,000 and I'm so incredibly happy. Thank you so much. In today's video, I'm going to be propagating my string of hearts. As you can see, he's a very long boy or girl or plant. As you can see here, I bought this plant about 2 years ago now, and it was literally two strings twirled around the top of the pot when I first got it 2 years ago, and she has just gone nuts, gone crazy. I don't know what I did with it that it's so happy. I think I just got lucky with it. I've kept it here in my dining room, which is a warm space. There's a lot of airflow through the space. There's a lot of bright light as well. So I guess that's what it likes. That's the kind of conditions that my string of hearts likes. I really only water this plant when it gets really super dry in the soil. I let the soil dry out for like probably too long between waterings, but it seems to like it. So in today's video, I'm going to be propagating this string of hearts. I think it was like a month or so ago, a couple months ago. I chopped it off about that much and gave about a foot worth of cuttings to a friend of mine, and it's since grown back that same amount. This plant is really super happy. In today's video, I'm going to be propagating it with, I think it's 3 different methods. So the first method that I've wanted to try for a really long time is air layering. So basically what that is, and I suppose I'll just do it while I'm talking about it because that's kind of what we're here to do. So basically, air layering is allowing the nodes on a plant to touch the surface of soil, and the nodes within the plant will just take to the soil, I suppose. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the first method. And I saw Plantarina talking about this particular method. So what Amanda from Plantarina did was she had her string of hearts hanging from a high shelf, and then she just let it grow down into a fresh pot of soil. So that's the first method of propagation that I'm going to be doing with this. Actually, if I'm going to be doing the other 2 methods, maybe it's best if I do the air layering last. Anyway, scrap what I said. Wow, this video is already a mess. The first method of propagation that I'm going to be doing is water propagation. So I've got a glass of water here. So basically all you want to do really is to get some cuttings and just make sure that you get some nodes in water. I've got a couple there. And what I'm going to do is take off the leaves, because if I put the leaves and have them sitting in water, they'll probably rot. And if you guys don't know what nodes are, go watch my water nodes video. I explain it in depth what nodes are. So I've got nodes on those cuttings, and I'm going to just have that sit in water like that, if it'll sit in there for me. So I think I might do more than 1 cutting in water because I'm gonna want more than 1 cutting. I feel bad taking the leaves off, but the leaves will probably rot and introduce more bacteria into the water if I have the leaves sitting in the water. But just out of curiosity, I'm gonna leave some leaves on there, but have that sitting in there. So let's see if that'll take. I've got a few cuttings in there. I think that'll do for now. So that's really simple, really easy. I'll leave this for 2 or 3 weeks and I'll update again in a further video, and I'll show you guys what's happened with this. That's water propagation. That's one method of propagating string of hearts. The other method that I'm going to do is sphagnum moss. So you could also do this in soil, like moist soil, but today I'm going to do it in sphagnum moss. So here's this tiny little propagation box that I prepared earlier. It's got damp sphagnum moss in there, and what I'm going to do with this is you could either just cut off the string of hearts and sit that in there and that'll start to grow roots, or you could cut it off at each node and pop each node in contact with the sphagnum moss, and then those are going to take root and grow. If I take that amount there and cut it off there, from here I'm just going to take each cutting and cut off the internodes because we don't need all that extra stem. and then each tiny little cutting like that, I'm gonna stick that in the propagation medium, and eventually those are gonna grow roots from the nodes and form a whole new plant. That's what I'm gonna just do with the whole rest of these bits here. Or another thing you could do is, if you're feeling lazy, you don't feel like cutting all of this, you could just literally just take that, put that in sphagnum moss, and it'll still grow, but it won't be as close to the sphagnum moss, or like it won't be as what's the word, in direct contact with the sphagnum moss as it would be if you took the time to cut each node, take each internode off, like cut that unnecessary stem bits off, and stick each node into the soil. I mean, you kind of get the gist of what I'm doing here. Stick all of that in there. I haven't actually done this before. I've seen it done. I haven't actually propagated my string of hearts before, but I've been wanting to do this for a long time, but I waited till I had time to film a video for it. And I wanted to do it with you guys. Like I said, I haven't done this before. I haven't seen it in action, like actually working, but I know this is gonna work after a couple years at least of propagating plants. You just kind of learn to understand plants and know their nature and understand what they're going to do if you put them in certain environments. So I'm really excited to see these cuttings grow. I've actually got a little propagation box of Hoya Cornelia, I think it's called, in some propagation boxes similar to this, and I'm so excited for those to grow long roots so then I can put them in a pot of soil. But when I pop those up, probably same time as I pop these up, I'll make a video of it and we can plant our cuttings, we can plant our propagations together. So there we go, that's another method of propagation. Nodes within moist sphagnum moss. I'm going to put the lid back on this one and seal it up. So what that then does is create a humid atmosphere. I'm going to keep it in a space where there's a lot of light and warmth. Not too much bright direct light, because then that'll like burn the leaves, make them go yellow, but just a nice balance of warmth and light. And eventually those are going to grow roots. And yeah, that's kind of what happens in a propagation box. So that's two methods there, water and sphagnum moss. You could also do that in soil or some other propagation medium. You could also use peat moss or coco coir, or even just some moist soil. Every few days or so, you're gonna wanna open the lid and just like air it out, give it a bit of airflow, and then close it up again. Just so that the air doesn't go stagnant, and if you don't air it out, sometimes it can go moldy. So just keep an eye on that. If you have it in a decent area where there is some good light, it shouldn't go moldy though. So that's just something to take note of. Now, the next method, I've made a bit of a mess here. Let me clean this up. Okay, the next method that I have been wanting to try for a while is, like I said before, air layering. So this pot lives on a high shelf up here behind me, and this hangs down, like this touches the floor. From a high shelf, it touches the floor. But what I'm gonna do is, instead of allowing this to just hang down as it hangs down, I am going to have it hang down into this pot of soil. So I believe this is what they call air layering. What you generally do is just allow this to sit on a pot of soil, and over time, the nodes in the existing vine are just gonna take to the soil. And once they've taken to the soil, you can just cut it off, snip it off from the mother plant, just snip it off right there, and then you've got another whole new plant growing from another pot. And you didn't even have to cut anything. So there we go, just like that. I don't know if this is a quick way of propagation or not a quick way of propagation, but I'm gonna try it and see what happens. And obviously I will update you guys in a future video. So what I'm gonna do with this is actually wet the soil a bit, give it a bit of a water, which I'm not gonna do here because I don't wanna make a mess on the dining table. But yeah, that's just another method of propagation for string of hearts. Also, if you are worried about the roots not being able to take to the soil because it's literally just sitting on top of the soil, string of hearts have actually a really shallow root system anyway, so it doesn't really need to take all the way into the soil. But once those roots have taken to the soil, this is actually gonna take off and start to cascade down on the outer sides of the pot as well. But I don't think that's gonna happen for a while, simply because it has slowed down, like growing has kind of slowed down with all my plants because we've come into the colder weather here in Australia. So everything has slowed a little bit down. I am still getting a bit of new growth from a few of my plants simply because it is a warm and bright space here in my dining room, but I have definitely noticed a slowing down of growth with most of my plants. So as I said, this is going to take a while to actually take to the soil and grow, but I know that within a year or a couple years, depending on how well this one does, I'm going to have another full string of hearts growing from this one, because from history, this was actually literally 2 strings in the top of this pot when I bought it 2 years ago. So it's gonna go really, really well. It's just a matter of time, just a matter of patience, just giving it time to grow and do its thing. And it is very, very rewarding when you realize, like, wow, I grew this, I took care of this, I nurtured this. It's amazing. It's such a really good feeling. So yeah, that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate that you've chosen to spend your time here with me today, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.